So now I'm just going to go over some tips for how to do this properly. Do these logical proofs properly without making any kind of unnecessary errors, simple errors that might mess you up. So first thing first, I'm going to talk a bit about parentheses. So let's have something like this. Let's make it A and B and C. Okay. And let's say this is my only premise. I want to, let's say I want to prove, um, let's say what I'm trying to prove is this. Okay. So I have to get from this first premise here to this conclusion, right? So how am I going to go about doing that? Well, one thing I, the trick first off is to look at what it is that I'm trying to get, right? So if you look, what I'm trying to get is C, okay, which is here in the conclusion I'm trying to prove, and it's here in the first premise, okay. Then there's B, right, and then there's A, okay, which is at the beginning of the conclusion or the premise, right. So what I need to do basically is I need to do this step by step, right? I can't skip any steps. So this is an important point with logic, because obviously if you just look at it, the premise is the same thing as the conclusion. So you might think to yourself, well, can't I just stick this conclusion here and call it a day? Well, not quite, because even if they're obviously the same, we haven't proven why they're the same. Okay. And the next thing I want to show is how orders of operations play here, right? Because you have to do things in an important order of operations, okay? I cannot yet get A or B because A and B are inside this parentheses in here, right? And I need to liberate these two from the whole before I can talk about them. And that's because they're inside the parentheses, right? And parentheses work like an order of operations. You have to work outside in, okay? So what I have to do initially is C, okay? And C would be a conjunction elimination on line 1, okay? And now I can also do A and B on line 1. Now, I could have done those in any order, right? Because both of those are okay to do with the order of operations. Since what I have to do is eliminate this conjunction here, right? And when I eliminate this conjunction, I can get C, like I do in the second line, or I can get A and B, right? So we could have gotten A and B for the second line and C for the third, but we could do it really whatever order we want to. Okay. Now I can get A by doing a conjunction elimination. Where's and? There we go. Conjunction elimination on line 3. And finally, I can get B with another conjunction elimination on line 3. And you see there how I go step by step and do every single step. Logic's kind of a long, redundant process in that sense. So you have to go through every step, even the silly steps that are kind of obvious, right? And now I can build back. Okay, so I can go. Let's see, we need to start with what's inside the parentheses. So we need to go C and B, right? Because we're trying to get C and B and A, right? This is what we're trying to get down here. And you're always going to want to start with the inside parentheses first and then move outwards, right? Um, the reason being that because of the order of operations, you can't do anything to the inside parentheses. You can only do things to the outside parentheses, right? So for C and B, I can do a conjunction introduction on line 2 and line 5, right? And then finally, I get C and B and A with another conjunction introduction from lines 2 and wait, sorry, that's wrong. From lines 4 and 6. Remember, it's always important to check your work too, because it's easy to make silly mistakes, right? So here we have a logical proof, okay, because this is a conclusion here, right? It's a conclusion we wanted. The same thing as this. We have a logical proof showing how you get from this premise to this conclusion, right? Now let's take another example. And this will also have an order of operations element. So let's say if S then T, well, we don't like to use T's in logic because T is the symbol we use to convey truth. So let's say if S then Q and if B then Q. And let's say our second premise is um, S and B. Sorry, that's A and B. S and B. Okay. And let's say we're trying to prove Q, right? What we would do is we first off would want to split S. Okay. Um, so that would be a conjunction elimination on line 2. And then we want to separate S and Q, or if S and Q and if B then Q, right? So let's take S and Q from line 1, and that is a conjunction elimination, right? On line 1. Now we can do a conditional elimination to get Q, right? Because here we have a conditional, right? If S and Q, and we have the condition that makes the antecedent, or the consequent, true, right? We have S. So we can derive Q from those two lines, from lines 3 and 4, with a conditional elimination, right? Now this problem actually has two different ways to solve it. Let me show you the other way. Okay, so we'll start again with these, right? I don't know why it's giving me 6. So I guess I gotta start over. So let's take the same example. If S then Q, and if B then Q, right? Oh, that did not work. There. Okay. Now the second premise would be the same, S and B. Now what I could also do is instead of getting S out of the second line, I could get B out, right? And that would be a conjunction elimination on line 1, or sorry, line 2. And then from the first premise, I would want to get if B then Q with a conjunction elimination, right? And from that, we can get Q, right? Conjunction elimination, okay? Oh, sorry, that'd be a conditional elimination, right? And remember, we got to cite the lines. So here we cite line 1, and here we cite uh, 3 and 4, right? So do you see then how I can actually solve this problem in two different ways, right? And you also see how I need to do the order of operations, right? I need to get rid of this conjunction so I can isolate one of these conditionals and then use that to eliminate the conditional. I cannot eliminate that conditional without first separating it out, the conditional statement, from this conjunction, right? Because the conditional here, if you see in the order of operations, it's inside the conjunction, right? This is a conjunction between two different conditionals, okay? And to be able to use those conditionals, I need to be able to get them out of that original conjunction, right? So that is how we do those order of operations. And just to, you know, go back up here and remind you, right? We couldn't get A from the first premise here, right? In this previous problem. We had to get A and B before we could get A, okay? And that's because this conjunction here is inside the bigger conjunction. And again, we have to do the order of operations. We have to start outside and go in, right? Go outside, start at the broadest possible logical relationship, and then move to the smaller parts, right? So I hope that helps you to figure out how to do these logic puzzles a bit better, right? So just remember order of operations, remember how to use these rules, and remember how to cite the lines specifically so that you don't make any unnecessary mistakes. Okay. Um, thank you.